we on? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mentor Mondays. If you're not familiar with the show, we are highlighting a chef from the community to give you, say little technical difficulties there, to give you advice, stories, answer any questions, but also give you a demo on technique and to talk a little bit about what their experience in the culinary industry has been like. So pay attention, ask a lot of questions, think about the future you, right, of opening up your own restaurant or continuing your education in the culinary field. Ask those questions in the chat at whatever point that your little heart desires, okay? With me today, I have Chef Raquel Rivera, who is the owner of Bonomia on Main. Okay, she's going to tell you all about that, and she's also going to give you an awesome demonstration. She's giving you gold here, guys. She's giving you gold. So again, take your notes, right? Chef, what are we making today?
So today we're going to make a lychee and ruby mousse cake, and I try to combine. I'm doing this recipe because I'm trying to combine different ingredients and techniques into it, so you can see a little bit of some modern pastry.
Awesome. So lychee mousse cake is what's on the menu tonight, or today, this morning. This morning, guys. So make sure you have a nice cup of coffee, ready to go, pay attention, and we're going to get to the demo and hang out with our mentor today. With her is an alumni. Don't forget about the assistants, though. April is one of our alumni students. When did you graduate?
2020.
2 days ago. 2020. And you are.
Yeah, she runs the pastry department now with us.
Ooh, you got a good one. Awesome.
Yes.
So, April, we're also going to ask you questions about the transition from being a student to going to the industry, right? Because we all can wear the chef coat, but then when we get into the workplace, it's a different story, right?
Yes.
And so excited for you guys to answer questions, and I'm gonna hand it off to you guys. Do your demo.
Thank you.
Let's get to the fun. Let's do it.
Sounds good. Well, welcome, and thank you for being here. It's very exciting for me. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm gonna try to explain all the ingredients and everything that I use as I go. But if you have any questions, let me know. I specialize on pastries. I do both, but my passion is pastries. So we're gonna start. So it's a mousse cake. And we're gonna start with jelly and jam that is gonna go inside of the mousse cake. And I'm gonna show you how to do it. So it's gonna be a raspberry mousse cake. I have here some frozen raspberries, and I'm gonna turn this on. Okay, so I'm gonna cook the raspberries, and I have here some sugar and water to add.
So your passion from pastry, chef, where did that come from? You're a little kid who loves candy. You'll notice,
pretty much.
You'll notice on the chat on this side, we have a lot of candies. That's how students show they're excited for you today.
Nice. Yes, I started. One friend just pointed out to me that I always would invite them to my house and bake cakes.
Oh.
Like, why are we always baking cakes? And then I realized I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and I wanted to make it.
Did you have an easy bake oven?
Yes, I did.
Oh, there you go. That's where the passion started. That's it.
Yes.
Put on the chat if you had an easy bake oven. I want one now, guys. It's okay. No shame in the baking game. So where was this passion? Where did it come from?
My mom cooks a lot.
Okay.
So, but she doesn't do a lot of sweets, and I was always craving sweets.
Always craving sweets.
So I started making desserts at home. And we had a really good friend that he had a restaurant, and that's how he got me into the industry. So here I'm just gonna make sure that the raspberries are cooked and it becomes like a syrup. And then what I'm gonna add I have agar agar, which is thickener, and it's made out of seaweed. So if you're doing a vegan option, instead of using gelatin, you can use agar-agar, and that it's going to be completely vegan, because this comes from seaweed, and then it does the same effect as a gelatin sheet. So we do have, I don't know if you've heard of it, but we at the restaurant, we have Thermomix. And what it does is one of the newest and modern equipment that there is in the culinary world. And it doesn't make it taste better, but when you're working with a lot of recipes, it makes it easier because you don't have to be doing this. So you're not here making sure it doesn't burn. You just leave it there and start and do something else. And it helps to go faster when you're working on the pastry area. Because as you know, on the pastry area, there's so many little things you can do to make it faster, right? Everything is patience and waiting, and also it's hard to make your production faster. So what I do is I try to get equipment that's gonna help us do our production faster. So you see it here. So now it's boiling.
So that was called the Thermomix, right?
Thermomix,
What did that run you? So here we have a class called Principles of Food and Beverage Cost Controls, which someone say hi if you're in that class right now. Don't forget your assignment is due to, no, I'm just kidding. But one of the things we talk about is equipment, right?
Yes.
And one of the programs that we also want to shout out is our new restaurant management program that we have here.
Oh, nice.
So that is something we talk about is equipment, right? You said this would take a process that the restaurant demand. You're pumping out pastries, so people want them all the time.
Yes.
So that's what's going to help. So if you don't mind sharing, what's the Thermomix?
So the Thermomix
how much
is it's very expensive. It's like it goes up to like $3,000.
Okay.
But that machine can replace everything you have in here. It can replace.
You can replace April? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, she works with April. She's irreplaceable. But she's the only one allowed to use it though, because it's so expensive, and she takes good care of it.
We literally teach our students how to work the Vitamix, right? And most of you guys in here have had a lesson from us that says, don't turn it, right? Don't mess up the motor. But because again, equipment is expensive. You want to take care of these things for the business.
Yes. I'm going to tell you all about the Thermomix. Let me just show you. So for the agar-agar to activate, it has to boil for at least 30 seconds. So I'm just going to add the tablespoon of it. And then we're just going to... And you can see how it starts thickening just by looking at it. And then we just wait.
So this is the basis for the mousse.
Yes, this is gonna go inside the mousse.
Oh, okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in this silicone mold, and then we're gonna freeze them. So that way we can put them inside the mousse.
And the agar-agar gives us a texture like a jello or gummy or...
Yes, you can make like a jello with it. It's the same as the gelatin. It just comes from seaweed. So if you're making anything vegan, this would be the option.
All right. Awesome. For those of you making vegan pastries at home, I'm sure you're familiar with agar-agar.
Yes.
Right. Is it more expensive than gelatin? Or
no,
comparable?
It's about the same. Okay, so I'm gonna turn her off.
April, how long does this take on the Thermomix?
12 minutes actually.
12 minutes?
Because the process with the Thermomix, you put it depends also the quantity, but you put the fruit, so like we do the strawberry jam, blueberry jam, raspberry jam, blackberry jam, so 4 different ones. But if I'm doing like the raspberry, I would put like 24 ounces in, my water, my sugar, I'll leave it there for 10 minutes, and you adjust it to the temperature of like 275. The speed is about like 2, and I just leave it there. I continue to do whatever I'm going to do. It finishes, and then I go back, put that for like 2 minutes, no, like a minute actually, and then I leave it there again, and it blends. So what she's going to do right now, she's going to be blending the jam.
But the Thermomix does it.
does everything. So you just basically have to go fix the settings and that's it.
Yes.
But that's the whole thing.
And the thing about the Thermomix
looks
is
like?
so that it heats up, so the heat is not just coming from the bottom, so it never burns unless you put it. You can control the temperature,
Right.
so it makes it easier. Like that's why you can just leave it there and then go do something else and keep working with it. But we're gonna use a hand blender.
Yes.
We're just gonna blend this one. It's better if you have a. Here you go.
Ooh, we have a question. What is the capacity of the Thermomix? So can I just throw?
I think it's like 20 quarts. It's bigger than the Vitamix. Like it's like double the size.
Double the size
yeah.
of the Vitamix?
Yeah. And it's like a stainless steel. A lot of people.
About this.
Yeah, about that one. Yeah.
About this size of the bowl, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about like that.
Yeah. So.
That's a lot of product. It's a lot
Yeah.
of. Will you make jams with this? You said.
Yes, jams. You can make doughs. You can make a lot of things. A lot of people have it from home use, but I think they don't get the whole.
Home?
Yes, because you can do like the whole dinner on that thing.
Yeah.
Like, cause you put the vegetables cook at the top, and then
I'm
the
gonna get me one.
pasta.
Pasta.
Yeah.
Dinner at night. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Chef, what tell us a little bit about your background as far as culinary, like
Culinary.
yeah, well, pastry, right?
Yes.
The industry. So you went from easy bake to professional kitchen, or like where was that transition and what was that like?
Yes. So, so like I said, we had a friend that he owned a restaurant, and that's how. He didn't thought that I would make it into the kitchen because I was a princess at home. And he said, like, before you start your career, first to start, like, before going to school, first, please come to the restaurant for a couple of weeks and then see if you like it and then decide to go into the field. And that's how I just went into the kitchen and I fell in love with it. I made it.
Nice.
I survived the cuts, the burns, and everything.
Yes.
And then I went to the Cordon Bleu in Austin
Okay.
for pastries, and then I did culinary, and then I did my externship in Spain.
Oh.
And then from there, I just started to get to know people, and I had the fortune to get to know a lot of people and work in different countries. I went to Argentina, Peru. I went back to Mexico, and then I came here and met my husband. And I decided to open a restaurant.
That's amazing. That's
Yes.
amazing. So, guys, that's kind of how you make it in this industry, right? I think every chef, you talk to chef instructors, or we've all worked in different cities,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of the nature of this game is
Yes.
you go and stage or you go and work in different kitchens, not because you pick up different recipes, but you pick up techniques and you
Yes.
pick up equipment that you probably wouldn't be,
Yes,
you know.
I think
I'm
that's
sure-
the beauty of the kitchens, that you never stop learning. Anywhere you go,
true.
there's different methods, different ingredients, different everything. Like your career never ends. Like you're always learning
Right.
something new.
So
And you have to put
education doesn't
yourself.
stop in culinary, right? We always talk about that.
Yes.
All right.
So I have one here that's already cold and ready.
This camera work. It's great. Yeah. So
And
we have to
ta-da!
cool it down, right? Does
Yes.
the Thermomix cool it down?
No.
'Cause, I mean, I'm expecting the answer to be, yeah, it also cools it down. Like, if it has that, if it's like my to-go cup, it's like for
Yes.
hot and for
Well,
cold.
actually, for this one, I'll use the hot one.
So it's completely cooled and
Yes.
it's set, right?
Yes. So it looks like I want to show you. So it looks like a gel, like a gelatin. But then when you mix it with the hand blender, the texture becomes like a jam. So it looks more like you want this to look like a jello. And then if you go in here, then it becomes,
Chamoy.
yeah.
Kidding. It's not chamoy, guys. But you could make it chamoy
Yes.
if you add like
You
a
can
raspberry
do.
chamoy, little citric acid, or
There you go.
Come on, guys. The snackerias game needs to be leveled up, right? Get a Thermomix in there. Get some raspberry chamoy.
Yes,
Look
so
at that.
you
Oh
see
my
it's
God,
so
it looks
different.
beautiful.
Yes.
Whoa, it didn't even change color when you blended it.
Yeah, that's more red.
Wow, that is like a lipstick color. Wow, amazing.
Yes. So this one, we're gonna put some in the piping bag, make it easier.
Do you guys have any questions out there for Chef Raquel so far about anything and everything? Someone asked, "What's the name of your restaurant?" Bonomia.
Bonomia.
Right. How did you come up with the name? What does the name mean?
So the name means kindest, honesty, and simplicity. And that's how we try to base our team on, because as you know, the kitchens can get really hard. It's a very difficult, it's open already. Very difficult environment. So we try to make it a happy place.
When so much of baking, I'm assuming, has emotion to it.
Yes.
So if you're making something sweet, all angry and stressed out, maybe you're not gonna.
Yeah, it never comes out. You have to put your heart into it and patience. So I'm filling here the mold, the silicone mold. And then we're gonna put them in the freezer, so that way it could be used in our mousse cake. So I always like to tell students or employees or co-workers that I know there's different techniques for everything. That doesn't mean one is better than the other. Like I said, that's the beauty of working in a kitchen. You never stop learning. So sometimes it's hard because they have different methods. Like there's the modern techniques, there's the there's the traditional ways, and they're all good methods. It's just whatever you're comfortable with and what you like to do. There's no wrong. As long as the end of it, it's good, then it doesn't matter how you get there. Whatever makes it easier.
One of the biggest critiques that we hear when we send out students into the industry, and I myself, just hit my mic. I myself, was a product of culinary school, and you go into a kitchen and then you say the infamous, "Well, in culinary school, right?" And so really quickly you have to learn that you're in someone's house. So if the technique they tell you, blend it the left way, I don't know, whatever is it, right? Like go get the left-hand saute pan. Then you just say, "Yes, chef," right? Because it's the technique that you're learning. Now, yes, you can get combative and be like, "Well, I don't know," right? You can. Again, when you own your own restaurant, you get to decide, this is the technique we're going to use, right? This is how we're going to do it in this house. But it's a good thing to learn from different people. It's a good thing to learn it completely different ways, sometimes even the wrong way, because that's going to give you a knowledge base that you can, choose from to create your own version of that product. So don't always be quick to tell your chef, "Well, that's not the way," because actually the more ways you learn it, the better.
There's all different ways to do different things.
In pastry, you mentioned you worked in Spain, in Argentina, in Peru. I mean, come on, guys! It doesn't get any more different than these different countries. Like I'm sure ingredients aren't even called the same thing.
No,
like raspberries not. I don't know. I'm assuming.
Yeah, when I went to Argentina, all the they had a precedent that they couldn't import anything. So we had to make, like, for example, condensed milk, mascarpone. There weren't any, so you have to make your own cheese, your own...
From scratch?
Yes!
How do you make condensed milk? I feel like I should know this.
Sugar and milk. You just have to make it. But you just have to wait until, like, it doesn't burn.
Can I make it in the Thermomix?
Yes! But they didn't have that either. But yes. So this is how they come out. So once they're frozen, you just get like little balls, and since it's a silicone mold, it just pops right out.
Gotcha. Cool.
And
little
then
ice cubes.
Yes.
Jello ice cubes.
So I'm gonna start with the mousse. So
You're gonna
I'm
go
pretty
here.
sure if you've into pastries, you've made ganache before.
I like to eat them.
So
I like to make them, but I always mess them up, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Okay with messing them up.
it's gonna come out wrong now. Just kidding.
Chef Raquel, I have to warn you, I am notorious for eating
For
chocolate.
eating?
Well, yes, for eating snacks too. I'm sorry guys, but I did not get into this industry for the money, okay? Listen,
You're here for
it's
the
cute.
snacks?
Yeah, I did it because I get to eat all day. Okay, I already did. It's okay. When we do middle school, like, you know, I don't know, promoting of the program, they're always like, how much money can you make? And I'm like, you can eat all day. And they're like, so sign me up. It's true. It's true.
Oh, yeah?
It's a non-starving artist kind of thing, right? We're artists, we get to do art, but we also get to eat and not starve. So, I picked up that habit from working with a master baker, and that was the first time that I got introduced to some of the most expensive chocolate, right? Because when you work for a true French baker, they do not use low quality anything, especially when they have a big budget. So every time I would go into the chocolate room, I would be like, oh my God. I'd be like, Guatemala 36, I love you. Or Martinique 64, you have my heart, right? And so now it's a bit of a nostalgic habit. But that ruby chocolate's okay. It's all right. I might have to try it again. Okay, so what do we got? No,
Yes.
we're making ganache.
Yeah, so we're gonna make a ganache. I have, so for the ganache, I have a heavy cream and I have the ruby chocolate, which I'll explain in a minute. And then I have my lychee puree. So lychee is a Japanese citric, and we're gonna incorporate it with the liquid ratio of it into the ganache. So this one is the one with water.
What is the flavor of lychee for some of our students who haven't had the opportunity to taste it? And how did you complement these flavors, right? I think a lot of pastry is about composing and orchestrating beautiful flavors that almost want to be in conflict with each other. Like strawberries are bold, this ruby chocolate is bold, and the lychee is bold. But
Yes. So usually, lychee tastes like a citric, but it's not like a lemon. Like it's not overpowering. If you put only lychee in, like if you mix it up with cream or something, it's not gonna be overpowering. Like it's a very subtle taste. I would say it's even like a citric combined with vanilla. Like it's very like it's not that overpowering. Ruby, on the other hand, it's a little bit more overpowering. This is the most innovative thing in chocolate in 80 years. That's the actual color of the cocoa bean. They don't put any food coloring or anything of it. It was found in Brazil, and you can get more of like berries tones into it. It took about a year to get here to the United States. I actually tasted it in a competition in Australia, and I came home trying to buy it, but it took like a year for the USDA to approve it into the States.
Let me grab a little bit. If you guys were here in person, sorry online folks, you would get to taste
we
this
brought
ruby
those for you
chocolate.
guys to try it.
Ay, Chef Fernanda, you're killing me. Here you go, ma'am. Just pass it around.
So
and it
works like a white chocolate when it comes to tempering. It's the same as as you would temper white chocolate. So here I'm just heating up the cream and the lychee until it starts to simmer, and then I'm gonna mix it with the ruby chocolate.
For those of you in online, we just tasted the ruby chocolate. It's yum yum. Sorry about it. Very acidic, right?
Yeah.
People that are here on face to face, what do you think? What do you get notes of? Acid, right? Like limon, right? Tangy. It's tangy on the a little bit back in the back of the throat, right? It's not very creamy. It's kind of crunchy. It's got a good. It's important for you guys to understand the ingredients on their own first. And my American regional class, we just tasted oysters without anything. And they were like, ugh, right? But we had to try to understand beyond the initial reaction of our mouth, which is it tastes like the ocean, right? Then we have to start understanding the sweetness, the bryness, how it makes our mouth feel before we add any other ingredients. So this ruby chocolate super complements that lychee because of those floral notes of the lychee. Like they love each other. They want to be friends. They want to be friends with the lychee, and then that strawberry is going to add that element of sweetness. I think, right?
Yes. Usually, how I start, like when I create a recipe, I usually put the flavors first. Like I do in a paper, I put the flavors, then the textures. And then I connect them like, okay, it's easier to make a ganache with coconut instead of mango, right? Mango makes more sense to make a jam. Like what's going to be easier to get that texture I want? And then after the texture, I do the recipe and then we do the fun part, the tasting. So we start doing the tests. So, but it's usually first you need, like you said, like you have to understand the ingredient by itself before putting it together with something else. So it's about to be there. With the Thermomix, you don't wait.
I think Chef Jen's on the chat. Chef Ruben, what do you think? Thermomix next semester? What do other shows? Can we get sponsored? No, I don't think so. I think there's a conflict of interest somewhere there, but whatever. We'll try to get sponsored either way. On the hush. I'll try to get sponsored. Awesome, Chef. So you said you tasted this chocolate in a competition in Australia.
In Australia, yes, and I thought it was already here in the U.S. So I came back and I tried to buy it, and they told me that it wasn't on the U.S. And I read all the comments, and they were waiting for it, and it took about a year for the USDA to approve it. Yes.
I will say I recently had the ruby chocolate, and it did not taste like this at all, which is so bizarre. But here's why. Don't shame me, but I like cookies from Crumble.
Oh, that's okay. I like them too.
I think
Everyone does.
I think it's a great concept.
Yes.
And sometimes I like to treat when Chef Liz doesn't make me cookies, and when you guys don't have cookies in your classes, I have to go buy my own cookies. Can you imagine that? A chef buying her own cookies. And they had a ruby red chocolate chip cookie, and it did not taste like the notes in this one. It wasn't acidic. It was very sweet. It was too sweet. So again, you got to also understand ingredients because there is a lot of culinary fraud in ingredients, right?
Yes. I actually got upset because I was super excited that we were one of the first ones to bring the ruby here, because since I tasted it before, I've already requested it like from the brand. And then when I was about to launch it, Magnum did a I don't know, Magnum, the ice cream.
Oh, Magnum.
Magnum,
like
yes. The ruby ones, the small ones. And so everyone thinks like that's the taste of ruby. And I'm like, it's not.
It's not. No, I'm telling you. I'm like, wait, I didn't taste this in my cookie.
And they're like, yes, like the Magnum. And then like, no.
It would have been a fantastic cookie if it had this one. But here's the thing about operating, right? Operating. How many times do people go to Crumble and get dozens of cookies? So you need to understand your cost as well, right?
Yes.
So speaking of cost, how do you handle cost in your restaurants as a pastry chef who's dedicated in having great product?
Yes. So I think quality, it's very important, especially in pastries, because it's not like in culinary that you can just like make your own and add. It's like a chemistry.
It's not like in culinary.
No, I mean,
it's like not like you kill whatever cow.
That's not what I mean.
It's all right, Chef. Yeah,
no, okay. I mean like like in culinary, you can make your own flavors, and in pastry, I feel like it's harder because it's more chemistry into it. Like you can't just like add some sugar or salt because it's not gonna bake correctly or something. So I feel like the quality of the ingredients, the freshness, the chocolate, like even if it's a little bit more expensive, sometimes, like for example, at the restaurant, we have one of the best sellers is a triple chocolate mousse cake.
Is that the little
The square one
with the chocolate on top?
Yes, that one.
I've had it a couple times.
Yes, and people always tell us like, "What do you do?" And it's just the quality of the chocolate. Like it's just 3 different ganaches.
Yeah,
in it.
It's just like a block. It's just like a block. It is a block of ganache.
Yes.
And then with like more chocolate.
Yes.
It's like, what else does these 3 ganaches need? It needs more chocolate.
Chocolate, yeah.
And you're like, yes, that's what I like.
But it's just the quality of the ingredients sometimes. And I usually like, for example, if you're doing a strawberry dessert, you want it to taste like strawberry. So incorporate the strawberries, the strawberry jam, like everything that you can do so that when they taste it, it doesn't taste like vanilla, like it's a strawberry dessert.
Did you read the chat? Do we get it?
Oh my gosh. This is our culinary students asking if they get discounts.
So this is the ganache, and here we're whipping some cream because we're gonna fold it in to make the mousse that's gonna go into our molds. And here I have some gelatin sheets. So that this is the same as the agar-agar.
Okay.
So you can use either or. I like to use these. I know there's a powder too. They're both very good. These you can't buy at HEB, but the powder you can. And the ratio, it's for four of these, it's 1 pack of the powder.
Okay.
So if you're gonna change it up, then
is there
this will be.
any slight difference? Like, is there a mealiness, or it's the same?
I like this one better because with the powder, if you don't do it correctly, you can get chunks. It can't mix well. This one is just gonna dissolve completely into it. So this one, you have to bloom it in cold water, and this is how it looks. It's like a gelatin. And then you get the excess water out. And this I'm gonna warm up just a little bit so that it can dissolve correctly.
So once you bloom it in the cold water, you have to then dissolve it in a little bit of warm?
Yes.
Okay.
So this cream, I just left a little bit from the ganache on the side, so that we don't change the ratio of the cream.
One thing I may add, never
Yes.
bloom them in hot water. They melt right there. I did that once.
You bloom your gelatin in hot water? What was that like?
And it was warm water. Well, it wasn't really hot. It was warm water.
Yeah.
Even that did it. It's like, I was like, where are my gelatin sheets?
It's a magic trick. You learn how to do a magic trick. Like, look, ta-da!
Yes. So I'm just gonna add them there.
There's that overhead shot, chef. I want to see it dissolve.
Okay.
Let's
Let me
see.
get it there.
Ooh. Nice.
And then they're gone.
Bloomin', bloomin', bloomin'. Is there a song for bloomin'? I don't think so. I just made it. Great. So besides the triple chocolate ganache, it's so good. I had it at Semilla Coffee Lab.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what is that? And they're like, a pastry from Bonomia. I was like, yes. And then I had your cronuts the very first time you got to the valley.
Oh, the
You
grind on
did the
grind.
Yeah. She doesn't even know I've been fanning. I love pastry chefs. They're great.
Yes.
I had the matcha. I bought like 12 of them.
Oh,
the matcha, the
matcha.
raspberry, the regular one.
They called me, like a chef came in to buy cronuts, and I was like, what? Who?
Nobody. Chef Ghost.
They told me your name, but I didn't know you.
I always like to support our culinary industry in the Valley, right? A lot of us, we grow up here. We learn beautiful flavors here. We grow up with our mothers cooking for us, our grandmothers, our tios and grandpas grilling. We're big in our food culture. So when some of us decide to make the jump to an industry, right? Sometimes you break your mom's heart She's like, ¿para qué vas a cocinar? And you're like, no, I swear I'm a chef,
you.
Mom. But you leave and you go pursue Spain and Argentina and Austin and big cities. And sometimes you don't come back, right? And then you miss the food from big cities. And so whenever there's anyone in our community that's trying to do something that they've learned and share that knowledge through a tangible product, I definitely try to support. And I don't need to be like, I'm chef, not that, because it's not about critique. It's just supporting and making sure that, you know, awesome. The stuff that you made gets purchased so you can make your money back. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's not all about profit. It's profit, passion, and making sure that you're also training the next set of your staff to do their ventures, right?
Yes. Well, thank you. Because of people like you, then people get to open their restaurants and keep going because there's customers and people supporting. So it's always good to support your colleagues.
Of course.
So I'm gonna temper it first, because like everything in life, if you don't start little by little, then it's gonna be a mess. So I'm just gonna incorporate a little bit of the whipping cream here, so that it knows that we're gonna start incorporating all together. Actually, can I get a whisk?
I got you.
Thank you. So we're gonna incorporate it, and since it has the gelatin, thank you. Since it has the gelatin already on the ganache, we're gonna put it on a silicone mold. I'm gonna show you, and then we're gonna put the raspberry jam that is already frozen inside, and then you leave it on the freezer. There you go.
What's your favorite pastry at Bonomia this month, Chef? Because I'm sure they vary, right?
Yes. Actually, that's one of the problems. A lot of people always ask us, like, do you have a menu? I'm like, no, we don't, because we make new ones like every 2 weeks. So we would have to be like reprinting them all the time. But we do have a display, and you can just pick from there.
Do you feel like when you went into the market here in the Valley, right? But here's the thing. We want to say, well, the Valley's not ready. The Valley's not ready. But you guys, do panaderias have a menu?
No.
No. You go and you're like, they don't have the marranitos today. Right? And you're like, and then you ask the lady, ma'am, are you guys going to cook them? Right? And then depending on, you choose what you want based on whatever's
you
there,
have,
right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people think, well, she doesn't have a menu, and I don't know what she's gonna have. But that's the fun in trying
new things. Yes. We always say, like, if there's one specifically that you like, you can let us know ahead, and we'll make it for you. But for us, we try to use the freshest ingredients, and what we have, like what's on the display is the best quality that we can get. If there's one of the ones you like that it's not there, it's probably because the berries weren't right or something that we couldn't do the best quality of it on the display.
And now the display window doesn't tell you all that, right?
No. Actually,
it just says, where is it? That's the one I like.
Yes. Actually,
I was going to get it for my office. And you're like, oh, man.
That's one of the funny things about, so I always work at dinner restaurants. So my experience with desserts was plated desserts. Mm-hmm. And I never thought...
class we teach here at STC, guys, if you want to sign up.
Yes, those are very fun because you can be more creative, because since they're served at the moment, you can do like sugar things and all that they just go up. But I never worked at a bakery or somewhere where I didn't know the shelf life on a pastry display. Like, there's a whole different world. So when we opened Bonomia, for me it was like, okay, let's have a huge display with all the desserts. And then for me it was a learning curve to understand like the production, like how it's made, because I've never had them on display. It was always like served like right at the moment. So of course, like sugar gets sticky, chocolate, melt, like all these things that I had to learn. And then, yes. So it was something, like I said, you never stop learning. And I thought I had all the experience, and then I realized it was a whole different um, like a whole different world.
Well, set of skills, right?
Yeah.
As an owner, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that you don't know until you own, right?
Yes.
Because of
Most
whatever,
definitely.
like plumbing,
Yeah.
right? You're like, I didn't know I needed. I didn't know now I know everything about there is to know about a grease trap.
Yeah,
Where,
yes.
right, as a pastry chef, you
Yes.
were like, I don't know, grease, gross, not my realm, right?
Yeah.
So that's also important. So what is some advice you would give to someone that says, Chef, I want to open up my own bakery? Because we get that all the time. And I make that change of tone because it's so good to dream. And
Yes.
then you have to get knowledge, right, of how challenging it is.
Yes.
Don't let anyone tell you that just because you make a great cookie, you can open up a bakery, because it takes a lot of work,
Yeah.
right? And if you're not ready for that work, then, it could be dangerous for
Yes.
you and your passion. And sometimes I know people that are super strong and look, I got told I make the best barbecue and now I can't, it's so much work to run my food truck.
Yes.
I'm not want to do it. And then they completely
Yes.
end up killing their passion.
Yes, and
right?
also it's different when you make one recipe and to how to make big batches. Like it's a whole different world. It's not the same making like this mold and having to make 100. So it does make it's a hard, but I always say like if you have to really be really passionate about it and be willing to learn. Like just don't think that you know it all. Like just go out there and put yourself in positions that are uncomfortable, but that you're gonna have to learn how to get there, like my display or things like that. Like you don't necessarily have to know everything, but you have to have the attitude to be willing to accept help and learn from other people.
Right.
So I'm gonna put
Everyone's
the mousse.
doing this.
Well, if you ask April, she always tells me. Yeah.
Are you hiring?
She always tells me, and I'm like, "Don't open your own place." You
Don't-
see me?
don't open your own place. Well,
You
there's
see
a
me
lot of
stressing out.
people-
Don't do it.
There's a
No,
lot
but
of
yeah.
people that say, Chef Nadia, why don't you have your own restaurant? I'm like, no, you guys, I love vacation way too much.
Yes.
I love work, but vacation is great. However, I do think that you can have a very good supportive team, that you can cultivate great teams, that you can have great staff that you can trust. I know I've worked with some of your staff. Karen is one. That
Yes.
I mean, she's insane.
She's always there.
Right? And you have to rely on people to, one, you have to treat your employees appropriately
Yes.
and have incentives and make sure, they have families and lives too. But that's part of the business that we don't talk about, right? Is labor. And right now we're seeing everybody needs hiring and nobody wants to work. And that's a big conversation in the industry.
Yeah.
Because it's not just we'll come and learn from a great chef. It's like, well, not if, kindness and your motto is not in the kitchens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. It's the hardest part of the job. They always ask me like, do you have kids? And I have like 20 at the restaurant. Because you have to be there for them and understand everyone and help and teach. And it's so you have to be passionate because they don't tell you that comes with a
leadership skills that are soft skills, like not just telling people what to do in an authoritative figure, but also hearing your staff out, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
So this is a mousse cake. So we're gonna put it to freeze. I can put this.
So that liquid the mousse is pretty thin, right?
Yes,
as it goes in.
Because it has the gelatin. The gelatin is what's gonna get it the texture once it's frozen and you put it out. When you taste it, you're gonna see right now we have one that's ready.
Magic. Here at Culinary Arts, we make magic.
Yes. So for last, something that's very important when you have a bakery is that I can put it down. Sure.
Oh, magic.
Yeah. It's, for example, so what we do for the bottoms, since we make a lot of tarts at the restaurant, and sometimes we have the ones that they don't come out like perfectly. So we make it into a crumble. Instead of making like sugar cookies for the bottom, we just, so it's part of,
By the way, all of
those are messed up tarts.
Messed up tarts, yes.
That's,
yes.
So that way, we don't throw them away.
We have some messed up student. No, just kidding. I'm just making sure you're awake. Because sometimes you turn on the Zoom and you just let it run, right? Anna?
Yes.
Yes? Look, see, she said yes. She's letting her mind run. She's like, yes,
Yes.
chef. Okay, all right. Got to keep you guys on your toes, all right?
So what we do with this is the regular, like as if you were gonna make like a cheesecake bottom, we just melt some butter and we just mix it in. And then we just put the bottom of the mousse cakes. And you can add any flavor to it too. Like you can add like almonds or pecans, anything to it, as long as it's like mixed
cool.
into the bottom of it. And it could be also a part on the mousse cakes. Like if you do the first part, you can freeze it. And so it's not like all the way, and you can put another layer of something crunchy or something, and then
give it
put the mousse
texture.
again at the bottom. Like you can put as many layers as you want on it, and that's what you see on Instagram now, that they cut it and it's like multiple layers inside, and so it's just like freezing and doing the next step and freezing and doing the next step.
That's a great segue, Chef. I was trying to get in there now. You know, social media is one of the most influential. What? Shipperman? Again, you want me to push her out of the way?
Overhead shot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Woo! I was like, do you want me to tackle her? Those of you on Zoom won't get it. You won't get it. You have to be here, okay? So social media, yes, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Whisper. I don't know. I just heard about Whisper. All these, I have no idea. I don't even want to know. But all these, we call them electronic word of mouths now. Okay. So here's the thing about, and this is not, I'm not making this up. You can go into journals and look it up. EWOM, right? EWOM is a new form of word of mouth, right? Before I'd be like, go to Paris Bakery, they have the best conchas, right? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
Now I take a picture, and because we're friends, you see what I just ate, and now you go to her location.
Yeah.
Now that would be great if the picture is good and the product looks great.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen, right? Like, well, sometimes you have the person that like is so excited they're taking a picture of this and messing up your aesthetic, right?
Yes.
And do you get a lot of electronic comments on your pastries?
Yes.
And can you let us in? Be real with the camera.
Yes. I think it's also one of the hardest. I think now
What does that do to your passion?
it's too much powerful. Like pictures and the reviews and everything. Like it's so much power that, and you can't control, because you can't be like, oh no, you can't take a picture,
Yeah.
right? So you just have to, and sometimes the opposite, like they take a picture with a filter or something, and then they come and it's like, it doesn't look like this.
Oh,
And I'm like, I didn't take the picture.
culinary catfishing. I'm gonna write an article about that.
Yes. So it's like both ways. It's hard because it's either they don't take a good
Well, they're like,
picture, or
but
they
it
take
doesn't
a
look
very
pink.
good picture.
It doesn't look pink, and you're like, it's never pink. It's like lilac. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's important to know, guys. Also, you know, you got to be a little ethical about your food photography and your even sharing recipes or techniques. You got to be a little ethical, give credit, or do whatever you know you need to do, because
we try to always post, but now we do the dessert and we try to post everything first before it comes out to the public.
That's a good.
So that way we can have it, like you can look at our Instagram with the actual product, like how it's supposed to look.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right.
So here we have the glaze. So
excited.
our glaze is made out. I have here the recipe. You can make it in the Thermomix.
I think it's like the best thing I've ever heard about today. I mean, no, chef, you're
No,
here.
you can just make it on the stove. This one is easy. It has white chocolate, condensed milk, glucose, sugar, water, and I use gelatin sheets for it. So this one, what I learned is that you can keep it on the cooler for like about a week, and every time you want to use it, you can just reheat it and keep using it. You can add any color to it too, and just hand blend it. But right now, we want to showcase the ruby color, so we're just gonna do it more clear. So we always try to go to the middle, and then let it.
So the glucose gives it. Is it gonna solidify, or what am I?
Yes, it's gonna solidify.
Okay.
With the gelatin sheet.
And what's the shelf life on this particular dessert, chef? Like if you were to put it in the glass case.
It can be up to 5 days.
Who? April's?
After the 5th day,
Chefs.
It's still eatable.
Change your batteries.
You start losing quality.
So guys, do you have any questions for Chef Raquel about being an owner, about being a leader, about pastries, about marriage? You're like, what's the married life? Is your partner in the culinary world?
He's in the
Produce. Okay, so kind of same world.
Yes.
Not like a teacher or anything like that. Because what is that like? What was that? Because a lot of our students, right, that are in this industry don't take account for how much you'll actually be in the restaurant, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing I told him on our first date. Like, I don't
On your first date?
Yes.
Well, you stuck by.
You need to know what you're getting into. And he was like, it's okay, I don't have time either at the produce.
Something's off? Man, it happens all the time. No, it's yours. We're going to switch mics until we get it together. Okay,
There?
how do you determine how much to produce for your case? That's a great question.
So we usually have it now that we've been open long enough. We kind of know our days, but we usually like take out like at the end of the day what's left, and we just make new ones. So we put 4 of each dessert, and then we have everything to make more. So if it runs out like by a certain time, we'll just like make more at the moment and keep filling it up. Yeah, so it's 4 of each, and then we just keep filling it up. And then the next day we'll just put new ones on the display. Cool. But we know like by the weekend we need to have like double the amount at the back just to keep filling it up. Mm-hmm. But during weekdays you never know what's gonna happen, so it's kind of like like we just have to see how the display looks before we go.
Right. And this is where you document your patterns, right?
Yes.
You start seeing, oh, Fridays, people come into the office, they get treats or payday or whatever, and you start understanding patterns and forecasting. Yes. And this is how you decide if you should open up a second location, right?
Yes.
Or a franchise or things like that. Right?
Yes.
So it's very important that you think about
berries.
About producing and quantity, right? And one of those classes that we teach here is Quantity Bake Shop. My favorite, because they make fresh dinner rolls. But Chef, how many dinner rolls do you make per class? It's like ridiculous, like 500 or something.
Okay.
How many trays of dinner rolls? Yeah, like 500 dinner rolls. But $4.99, because I usually eat one.
So, like I mentioned before, it's important that you make sure that your dessert tastes what you like, the flavors. So what I like to do is like the raspberry, I fill it in with the same filling that's gonna go inside. So that way when you bite into it, that's what I mean when we create the recipe, we think about the textures and everything. So that way you can put like the raspberry on top.
And this is a dessert you have at Bonomia? Or?
We have one that's similar. We have like a ruby mousse cake.
Okay.
And we have a lychee tart. So it's like a mix in between.
You guys, when you go to Bonomia, and you should treat yourself, it is so hard to choose one. So choose like 3. It's fine. I give you permission, okay? It's fine. I think I went on, was it Sunday? And I was like, okay,
yes,
so
it
like,
was
we're gonna
packed.
go round of desserts now. And my guests were like, what are you talking about? We just ate. I'm like, yeah, but no, we just ate food. But now we need to get the pistachio mousse, the dulce de leche,
pistachio.
and the, what was the other one?
Which one was your favorite?
The chocolate. Yeah, the triple chocolate.
The
yeah.
chocolate
It's
on
because
top
I
of
like
chocolate.
to say, look, this is a block of chocolate, and you know what it needs just for it to be like the last little touch. And they're like, what? I'm like, a bar of chocolate on top. Right? So it's like chocolate on chocolate on chocolate on chocolate, 4 times chocolate.
Yes.
And it's great. And the first time I had it was with a coffee, a very strong coffee.
Oh, that's
And
the
so
best.
that's why I think it was so impactful that I was like, oh my God, this great blend of coffee and this great, chocolate cacao bean, just like they belong together in my belly. Made me very happy.
Nice.
at
Very important thing about the glaze is that if it's too hot, since the mousse cake is frozen, it's gonna melt your mousse cake. So it has to be at a certain temperature for it not to melt down your pastry, and also it thickens fast because it's frozen. So it's very important that you don't take a lot of time, because then it starts like you're gonna get chunks if it sticks and you keep pouring.
Oh, okay.
So that's with
They
any
look
glaze
gorgeous.
that you use into a frozen dessert. But yes, so I'm gonna put
Beautiful.
this here to taste.
This part is always like the very intense part. I have to do that in the morning,
Yes.
and I'm always like, I have to take my time fast, but like take my time at the same time. It's really
Yes.
hard.
Gentle
I
but
need-
fast.
Yes.
No otras.
So you mean this
Okay.
part is getting them from finished product to the glass case?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole task in itself.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Patience.
not falling actually. Like it falls there, and just get it back, and it goes it again, and I save them like that.
So one of the biggest questions when I either bring really nice desserts or I share really nice desserts with people who just like eat Oreos, they always say, I don't even know how to eat it. It's so pretty. Is there
Yes.
a right way to eat desserts besides shoving it in your mouth like that kid who ruined my dreams?
Oh. No.
No right way to eat
They
desserts.
go straight
You
to the
start by
heart.
corner.
Yeah.
There's no right way to eat desserts, guys. Not even the pretty ones. You kind of just got to dig in,
Yes.
dive in.
Your work is gonna be destroyed. That's
Your work
gonna
is
happen.
Gonna be destroyed, but you don't get
Yes.
sad.
No,
I get-
because they get happy.
Okay. All right. In cooking, I guess it's different, right? In culinary, like we don't mind that it's destroyed, but then we're like, "Did you like it? Like, did you like it?" And then they're like, "Yes, it's great." And it's like, you could have used some, right? Like you just don't always take it as it's really good. I feel like we're kind of masochists in that way. We just want to like get told, no, you're not good enough. But here,
trying to
you
get it.
have a tangible product that says, look at how beautiful it is. And if it tastes that way, it's even more. Guys, thank you so much. Our next, sorry, yeah, I just started everything. Our next Mentor Mondays is sometime after spring break. It's going to be Dr. Singh, who is UTRGV Dean of the hospitality program there. So once you do our restaurant management program here, guess what? You can hop on over and get your bachelor's at UTRGV because they have a wonderful program. He's going to tell you all about it. After that, we have Chef Marcel, and then our lineup of mentors will continue. There's a lot of culinary mentors, influencers, people doing great things all around the valley, and we're trying to showcase that every Monday. So stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next Mentor Monday. Thank you guys. Have a great one.
Thank you.